Phoenix Down Radio is on the air.
Welcome everybody to Phoenix Down Radio, episode number 119. I am your host, Klauss Nightbringer, and joining me tonight, we have Seyrr Timono. What's up, Seyrr?
I'm somehow holding it together this week.
Hooray! And we also have a Taliz Marvelous. What's going on, Taliz?
Not a whole lot. It is good to be back in the realm of Eorzea and out of the other places I've been.
Yeah, you haven't been in game much lately, have you?
I logged out after the show, and I logged in and was still in Gridania, standing where an NPC used to be, holding a level 15 quest that I can no longer turn in.
Oh,
It's fine. I don't get my creepy... I don't get the creepy rabbit hat.
Well, actually, no, I should say. I sometimes forget I still have access to that.
I say, man, we have a board for exactly that.
Yes. I don't know. Like I said, when you look at the events, they've been kind of, maybe just it's the times we're in right now, but they've been kind of lackluster to me.
I mean, the main thing I got out of that one was watching Geralt and Rowena poke at each other.
Like, some of the cutscenes were pretty funny for the first half, but then I just never finished the second half of it.
I don't recall most of that. I think I only did it a couple of times, so.
Yeah, during the little rabbit parade,
I did that once.
There is a rabbit that is very clearly Rowena. There's a rabbit that is very clearly Geralt, and they poke at each other a bit.
I wasn't paying as much attention to that.
The Rowena one is handing out eggs with little advertisements for House of Splendor's products.
Figures.
Oh, God.
Today's happy child is tomorrow's loyal customer. I'm not sure if that's a direct quote or a paraphrase, but...
I think it can be a direct quote if you try hard enough.
Anything can?
Yes.
See, initially I was thinking maybe you were talking about some stuff that we got in patch 5.25, but it's like, no, that's something very different.
Oh, God. I love it so much.
We'll be talking about that a little bit later in the in the news, but what else have you guys been up to since the last show? I mean, in-game, out-of-game, whatever you want to talk about.
I've got, like, about 7 Dragon Sung tools now.
So you've been really busy at that. I've been more busy with getting the resistance weapons.
Yeah, it's poetics, whatevs.
Yeah, I mean, I've been leveling up Samurai through MSQ roulette, so I'm getting a ton of poetics. Might as well use them somewhere, right?
Makes
It's
sense.
like 300 poetics per roulette. It's a lot.
Yeah, and
I was a little surprised they made it poetics. Like, I guess they wanted to make this bit reasonably easy to get, though.
Yeah.
I suppose if you hadn't done Evilise, that's a bit more work for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 1,000 tomes per weapon. I mean, the first one's free, but then after that, 1,000 tomes per. So you max out, you get 2 weapons, and you just lather, rinse, repeat until you get everything you need. And they're actually really nice weapons. The fact that you can pentameld them, 100% success rate.
Yeah.
Really nice. Eye level 485.
It's the 5-slot ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They really, I was a little surprised that they obsoleted a lot of the quickly.
Yeah, I mean, most of the weapons from the EX primals are no longer best in slot.
That was the other thing I did. I cleared an X trial while it was still relevant.
Yeah, I got through a little bit of it. Are you talking Ruby Weapon, or are you talking about the other one?
I'm talking about the other one.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but so we don't want to spoil that quite yet.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
What else has been going on with you guys?
I mean...
I know Taliz is...
Sleep? What is sleep?
My sleep schedule is all over the place right now.
Right.
I saw a great meme. It was the "Look at me, I'm the captain now" meme, and it was the "Look at me, I'm the sleep schedule now."
Yeah,
it was like 5 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've seen that one too. That's about right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've been going to bed firmly at 3:30. Thank you very much.
I've been trying to go to bed about 2:30. because weekdays I have a potential to be called in, during the lunch rush if there is one, which I have.
So you want to be available to drive?
Exactly, but Saturday, Sunday, they don't open until 4 on Saturday and Sunday. They're closed, so
yeah,
it is what it
There's
is.
a certain weirdness of like a restaurant that is closed on a weekend day, but if your business doesn't merit it, then don't be open. It's not worth it. It's too
A
expensive.
lot of restaurants are closed on Sunday, though.
Not around here.
In this
Yeah,
area,
a lot of
they
them
are.
Yeah, not around here. But that being said, like the Sunday is the day that they close at 9 p.m. instead of 11 p.m.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
A lot of places around
Like,
here, it's a Sunday, Monday usually for their weekend.
Oh God, Monday is useless in the restaurant
instead of
game.
Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah, Monday or Monday, Tuesday. Man, if you want to get really cheap food that's like the most basic, like the chicken wings with barbecue sauce and the cheddar cheeseburger, Mondays, those are always the days that you can get that stuff super cheap everywhere. Got to burn up that inventory somewhere.
Makes sense.
So how's your, I know you've been doing a lot of delivery stuff as well, Taliz, right?
I have. I actually spent most of this week working on my car and upgrading it and changing out some stuff just so that it was ready. My best in slot was not best in slot, so I changed a few bits. I bought new floor mats. I bought spark plugs. I took my entire center console apart, cleaned it, and put it back together again. I'm getting my transmission fluid redone. I'm just basic, get it done now or do it in 10,000 miles for 3 times the cost kind of stuff. So I spent most of this week doing that.
Oh, so you do you have like friends that have access to some of the things that you need for that?
No, I just do it.
No, I mean, like some of these require a little bit of specialized tools, don't they?
I would love to say that they do, but honestly, most motors don't. The electronics, electrical stuff, that I'm not good at. ECU programming, I'm not good at. But like removing spark plugs was a 14 millimeter and an extension. That was it.
Well, depending on the layout of your engine, some of them it's really difficult to get at the back.
Oh yeah.
Plugs,
no, if I had a European motor or something, that would be a completely different story. I have a 4-cylinder, 1.8 liter Japanese horizontally mounted engine. You can take that thing apart with like 6 tools. Yeah. One of which is a screwdriver.
And I know sometimes transmissions can be a little bit tricky as well if you don't have the right equipment around. Unless you're dropping the pan.
Yeah, if you're just pulling the pan off to drop all your fluid, whatever. But if you're like pulling the transmission to back it up, to pull the clutch out, that's where you want to lift. And
I mean, depending if you're doing a
lot of stuff.
Full out change versus just a flush to try and clean out any debris or any issues that might be inside of it. That's where I was kind of concerned, because you can't just do a transmission flush in your own garage.
No, mine is thankfully just going to be a drain and refill because it's fine. It's just dirty because it's used. It's shifting well, so all I need to do is just drain it. That is actually one that I looked at. How much is a disposal fee? Do I need a drainage pan? How much is a box of cat litter? I also need all of my fluid. And then I looked at it. My final damage was about $75, and my damage to drag it to my mechanic was about 90. And I was like, "Hey, good news! My mechanic's gonna do that one."
Yeah.
Because for $15, I'm gonna make somebody else do it.
Yeah, your time is worth money too. So.
Exactly.
But yeah, I had an interesting time. I did a little experiment with some MGP and some Imperial Triad packs at the Gold Saucer.
Go.
Legalized gambling.
There were there's 6 cards available in that Imperial Triad pack. Guess how many packs it took me to get all the cards?
More than 6.
More than
80.
6. Try about 7 times that.
Oof.
560 packs.
Yeah, there's a reason I ended up going for a couple of those from the players.
Yeah.
And this is why I buy deck lists and not booster boxes. Holy crap, dude.
But I did do some research. I mean, it's not a very frequent drop from the idle Imperial either.
Sure, but you're getting MGP while you do.
But when you have 8 million, I mean, I spent
Okay, that's fair.
I spent about 1 million MGP to do it. So
you have a bunch of MGP and you want to get in and get done with. I have depressive episodes and wanted something to distract me from my life.
Or make it worse because, triple triad.
That does not come up when thinking about.
True enough. But yeah, so the regular Van Hydrus card is about a 0.14% drop. And I basically just proved that. I was reading people who got it in like 25 packs. I'm like, fuck you. Go die in a fire.
Pretty much.
But no. And like I said, it was just kind of an interesting little thing to do. Because I wanted to try. I didn't have any of the cards from that particular booster pack. So I figured, fuck it. Let's see what happens. And yeah, that's what happened.
Dang.
But aside from that, like I said, I've been doing a lot of delivery. For being on call and only working a little bit, I ended up working 4 days this last week. Just in Friday and Saturday night, I took 37 deliveries.
Good God.
Yeah.
I think I do. Your deliveries, how long do your deliveries take round trip? 15 minutes?
Depends. Like I said, a lot of them we're taking doubles and triples if we can.
So you're doing 3 and 30 kind of thing?
3 in about 20 minutes, I suppose. I mean, I was averaging about 6 an hour.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, because mine take about an hour, but I also have to get to location, shop.
Yeah, you're doing
leave
Instacart,
location.
which I looked at that. I have all that, and I'm like, fuck that. Especially since it's Aldi.
Yeah, with limited options. For me, it's just like, hey, the PCC nearby is crap. I'm going to use this QFC, but not the other QFC. That one's awful. I'm going to do this Fred Meyer, not this Fred Meyer. This Safeway is horrifyingly unsafe, and this one never gets stocked. I can pick and choose.
Yep, I have 2 stores, and every one of them has been for Aldi. Granted, some of them were, I mean, they've ranged from, the base $7 up to, I think one I saw was about $30.
Yeah. It's not too bad if there's nothing else going on, but it's definitely, a lot of work.
I also don't want to be awake between 9 and noon if I don't have to.
That's valid. That's valid. I wake up at 10:45 whether I need to or not. It seems to be all right.
Yeah. I mean, I might, but like I said, I've been doing pretty well with the pizza delivery.
Honestly, like I said, do it during the day when you're not doing pizza, and then keep your nights free for when you are doing pizza.
I don't know. Like I said, there have been days when I'm called in during the lunch rush for pizza, and it's like when that happens, it's like, well, I'm not gonna go spend. Then I have like 2-hour window there that I'm not working. I'm not gonna really squeeze anything in there. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
And it's all about So I've been maybe I use that time to jump into Final Fantasy XIV and do my dailies and maybe do some show note work or something like that. Or I'll do things like turn the website into a secure now, so it's not just a plain old HTTP. It's actually an HTTPS secure site. So, I mean, I have been doing things for the show as well. So I don't know if you guys ever visit phoenixdownradio.com. You'll notice it's now secure. So you don't have to worry about.
So send us your credit cards.
No.
Just send us all your credit card numbers. If one of them is lucky, we will send you coasters from Cafe Orzia.
There we go. It only needs to work like 3 times.
It's true. Also, hi, Rory.
Hey, Rory.
But yeah, aside from that, speaking of accepting things, we are still accepting entries to our Phoenix Down Pick Me Up contest. I'd like you to tag us in Twitter and add the hashtag Phoenix Down Pick Me Up. Or if you don't want to use social media like that, you can email us podcast@phoenixdownradio.com with your story of someone you saw helping someone else, someone helping you, or you helping someone out during these trying times. We want to pick 3 winners to receive a Phoenix Down key ring made by Loot Cave, as well as some pretty cool Phoenix Down Radio swag. And to start it off, I guess I will share my Phoenix Down Pick Me Up story, which involves the lovely people over at Jimmy's Pizza. When I, learned that I was going to be unemployed, I reached out to them because they're good people. I like their work ethic. They like their pizza, and they seem like a really fun it seems like a fun environment. And I asked, hey, with things that are going on right now, if you guys need any help, let me know. I'm more than willing to do a little bit of delivery driving and things like that. And like I said, they jumped on that, and it's been an amazing thing. And even when things get a little more tough and trying, because when it gets busy, when you're taking 18 deliveries in 3 hours, it gets hectic and mistakes get made. And
Mistakes were made.
The support that I have received from the owners has been just overwhelming.
Awesome.
And so, I mean, the fact that, I'm helping them out, but they're helping me out so much more. And that's, my story of somebody helping somebody out in this time. So
It's a very good story. And also, this is one of those moments where you get to keep those mistakes under your belt. And then later, when somebody else needs it, you go, here's how bad it was. Here's the good that happened. Here's the bad that happened in that good. And here's how we responded to it. And that is just a cycle of encouragement that keeps going.
Yeah, and when I was feeling, very stressed by the entire situation, they reached out and they're like, hey, don't worry about it. Everything's cool. I mean, are you okay? Do you want to talk? Are there things, that you need, do you need anything from us? Just that support right there from people that you maybe don't necessarily think of as somebody as a support person. I'm bad with thinking of the phrase right now. Seyrr would be probably better at that, but he's busy typing. Support someone you don't think of them as a part of your support network. That's gotta I guess what
that'd be the way I go. There's not like a good term for it.
But the fact that they reached out and they told me that we're all part of a family. That
It's
really
true.
was huge to me, and I greatly appreciated that. So.
Yeah, it's really interesting and often heartwarming to see just in crisis situations like this, which unexpected bits of people come out.
Mm-hmm. And all of the customers, I mean, I have to say that in all of the different customer service jobs that I've had, these overall are the best customers.
Nice.
Just their
I love when you
attitudes are amazing. They're understanding. If a mistake is made, they're cool with it. But they do everything they can to make it right. And just the amount of support and frankly the tips. Holy shit, the tips.
Just the tips? What?
Oh,
This is how I
my.
process.
It like there was one day during a lunch rush, mind you, I received 3 $20 tips,
Oh, dang.
a $15 tip, and a $10 tip.
I love those days.
Right? I mean, they're few and far between. I understand. I don't expect that every time, but the fact that when you're averaging almost $100 a night in tips and you're working 4 hours.
Yeah. And then you sit down and you go, okay, how much do I like my day job?
Well, see,
How much do I like that?
Unfortunately, this job cannot replace my regular job once things get back to normal. However,
Whatever
I do
normal
have
stuff.
I do have the option to continue to assist them, on evenings and weekends and things like that if I need to and if they need it. They've said that that's definitely an option. So we might be looking at moving the podcast permanently to Sunday if that ends up being the case, type of thing. So, because I mean, Saturday nights are hella good nights for making money delivering pizzas. Generally.
If I end up picking up this side gig, I will be more free on Sundays than Saturdays, so we'll see what happens.
Exactly. I mean, so
This has been Real Life Business Talk with Phoenix Down Radio.
well, you know what?
Thank you.
I after I think our discussion that we had last episode,
Oh, for sure.
I think that this is something that we should do a little bit to kind of just ground ourselves with what's actually happening out there. Let's not pretend that this shit isn't happening because we know it is. And how we deal with it, now is going to, dictate how things go moving forward. So I think the more that we can address it and recognize it and deal with it now, the better off we're going to be further down the road. So,
Agreed.
if anybody wants to share their stories or anything like that, or needs to talk about anything, we're available for that too. So you can hit us up on our Discord server. You can email us, podcast@phoenixdownradio.com. You can message us on Twitter at PHXDNradio. Any of those good things. We're here to help. We are a family. All of you guys listening to the podcast, those joining us live at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio, I consider you guys all part of our family, and we're all in this together. Okay.
What would Zac Efron say at a time like this?
I don't know, because I don't really care for the guy.
There's a song in High School Musical called "We're All in This Together." So,
see, that went over my head because I don't. Yeah.
It was a deep cut. It's a High School Musical joke that's wrapped inside of a Harry Potter musical joke. So,
yeah.
And
one person that listens to the podcast might get it.
Might.
One.
If you're that person, let us know.
I don't think you'll get anything for it. We're just kind of curious.
Yeah, basically. All right. So let's jump into some game and community news. And let's start with Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII was released. And I got my copy on Saturday, which was nice.
Yay!
So I didn't have to wait until, halfway through the week to start playing it. It arrived
end of May.
But no, there's some shit we'll be talking about here in a minute. But let's talk about some initial thoughts on the game. Spoiler free, we're not going to talk about any type of storylines. We're not going to talk about things that happen within the game. Just overall, what are your thoughts on the gameplay, the visuals, the music, the story, things like that? Seyrr, you just downloaded it, right?
Yeah. So the only experience I have at this point is with the demo, which I think we talked a little bit about that already. So I don't have a whole lot new to add there.
The demo, it didn't change much. I think I do believe the AI is a lot smarter now than it was in the demo. So you've got that to look forward to.
A friend of mine did comment that he has a bit more of an idea of why the Guard Scorpion fight was so hard. He was commenting that it seems like the system is really built around having 3 people to work with. And when it'll usually up a bunch of your stats to make up for it. But so 2-person things are in a bit of a weird spot.
Yes,
agreed. And
yes and
that
no.
was actually something I noticed.
There's
too.
a lot of battles where it is just 2 people, though. You find yourself a lot of time when you just have 2 characters in your party.
Right. And I think his point was those things tend to be a little bit harder than you would otherwise expect.
I think it was more with poor AI tuning, personally. I had a much easier time going through it in the actual game than I did in the demo, and I've been playing the entire thing on normal, not on easy.
Playing on normal as well. Looking through some of the speedrunner notes for stuff we're trying. The game it is built for 3. And having 2 or 1 makes it a little bit challenging. You can do builds, especially for Cloud specifically, that's just like, no, you can one-man army the game. But in the one-man army materia slot where you get 5 or 6, you're not using MP up. You're not using auto cure. You're using a very specific set of things to do a very specific grouping. Like, no, I don't have wind leveled up at all because it's kind of crap. Like, you don't need it very often. But if you build your characters right, the mechanics work super well. It's very fluid. It feels like a very, very upgraded version of what we got in 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I can look at, we look at 8, and we kind of joke about it, and the Guardian system is stupid, and the junctioning system is weird. We look at 6, and we go, Materia is an upgraded version of Espers, because Espers were broken as hell, because you could take them off and keep your spells, and get really weird combinations you weren't supposed to have.
But also you have the stat ups being really weird, and if you grind at the wrong time, it turns out you're crippled.
Exactly. So now we look at something like 7 Remake, and we can look back at 15, 13 even, the 8 fix, the fixes they did for 12, some of the stuff that they did for 6 for the re-releases for like iOS and Steam. You can see some of those changes as the company has grown over the last 20 years. We see all of those things that they've done, and we say, oh, this is what Noctis was doing, except instead of having to have access to 12 different weapon types, now we get to focus on swords. Oh, this is what spellcasters were supposed to look like, except Hope was dumb and couldn't move. So now this is how this is supposed to work. So I'm seeing little bits of every other game that they've made in the remake.
Yeah.
That's actually been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people, you know, as far as the gameplay aspect of it, it reminds them a lot of Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 10. You know, they think it's a very linear style game, but I think that they did a really good job in making the world relatively large for what we have. There's
For
a
what
lot,
we had? Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot to do in the area that we're playing in, and it's a little bit maze-like, so that makes it a little bit more seem like there's a lot more world traversal involved with it.
Couple
You
of
sure
dead
are
ends.
in the slums.
Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, there's a couple dead ends that I've hit, and then you go, oh, I'm in the wrong place, and then you look around and you go, or am I? And then all of a sudden you start learning more stuff about how the world works, or you listen to an NPC. There's whole missions that were literally 2 text boxes in the original game that are now an hour and a half of gameplay. Is that a change? Is that a good change or a bad change? Are we playing, is this modern dress Shakespeare bad, or is this, we got rid of the Triumph Forks hunting nonsense in Wind Waker remake bad? Like, both are good in their own right, but they also take away and detract from the original. So you want to decide where you want to pull away from and change, and where you want to leave it alone and let it exist as people remember. Even if it wasn't ideal, sometimes that novelty of memory is more important than the ideal.
Yep. So what are your thoughts on how the combat system is working? You know, we talked a little bit about it during our discussion on the demo, but now that we've gotten the actual final product, what do you think of the way the game actually plays, Taliz?
There's 2 ways to do combat that I've discovered, and I love both of them. One is do the thing that you think looks neat. If it doesn't work, figure out how to adapt and work your way around it, because you can't really change materia mid-battle. And then if you fail, then you change materia and you do option B, which is know what you're supposed to do in the first place, or get super lucky and then just curb stomp everything and feel like a powerhouse. Without getting into spoilers, element materia is busted if you use it well.
Oh yeah, if you know what you're coming up against, it is amazing. As is the what's the other one? Well, I always use it on my cure materia.
The expansion one?
Expand, yeah.
The AoE one?
Yep. The AoE one.
AoE cure and element range, and then you just stand back, you're like, okay, let's have fun. I am glad that it is element specific and not status specific, because I have played an unhealthy amount of Saints Row 4, and I can attest that having poison attached to your machine gun bullets is really fun in
and
a
also
game like
potentially
Saints
really
Row,
broken.
and would be awful in this game.
Yeah.
It's fun in Saints Row because you have 400 things to kill. In this, you have like 2, and it would just be awful and wouldn't be interesting. So I'm glad that there's a couple limitations. There are, oh my God, the inventory management is good, but also horrendous. I have so much extra stuff that I will never use. Even once I get everybody else in chapters 2 and 3, I will never use all the materia I have.
But there's a lot of materia, but there's also, I mean, there's use cases where you need specific chunks of materia as well.
Oh, I've done, yeah, where it's like, you need wind. And I was like, oh God, I've had it equipped. It has 7 points on it. Are you serious? Like, it's awful. And then I have to figure out how to use wind for the first time.
Yeah, I think that's the one I haven't really used either.
I put ice element on the wrong character, and I finally, after about 15 hours of gameplay, saw the game over screen. and was like, oh, maybe that doesn't work the way I think it does. And so I had to realize, like, okay, what's preconceived knowledge? What am I looking at in terms of I've been playing Final Fantasy games for 30 years? And what am I looking at is what does this game have to offer?
Well, okay.
So understanding that it's new and different and it's not the same helps the enjoyment factor a lot.
Yeah. Plus, there also is the you can do a classic playthrough as well, where everything is basically time stop, and you enter your commands in as to what you want to do. I haven't tried that yet, but for the purists out there who might enjoy that, I mean, it's something to try out. Or if you're having difficulty with a specific fight and you want to slow things down just a little bit, you can try that.
You could have people who play the game for the nostalgia factor, but they're not so much for like the fast actiony type stuff, and this lets them enjoy it too.
Yeah, but I mean,
exactly.
It's good. My biggest complaint, I mean, it's something I like and hate, the weapon upgrade system. I like that we can upgrade our weapons. All the weapons have basically a sphere grid.
Yes.
You use these use SP to enhance, attributes and things like that, specialties on each of the different weapons. As your character gains SP, each weapon in your inventory and each weapon that you gain down the road gets this SP as well. The actual act of upgrading the weapon is horrible. The interface is clunky and slow.
So
it's pretty.
bad.
It's pretty, but in practice, it is terrible.
The reason why 10 and 12 worked with the way that they did was that it was a sphere grid, or it was a grid. It was a fixed thing that you moved around on, and it loaded the whole thing. Whereas this, they're trying to do this like silly supernova, like in the stars thing. You're like, oh, that's cool for one. When you have 4 or 5 nodes, it's a pain in the butt to try to get through everything.
Well, even 13 and 13.2 had a similar system like this, but you could easily switch between characters and make your upgrades. You have to back out manually each time for each weapon, then to each character, and then do it again for every weapon that you want to upgrade. And it's very time consuming.
Okay, I have good news and bad news. The good news is, once you've learned a weapon skill and you get a new weapon, you pretty much never need to touch that original weapon again.
I have actually found that in some cases, certain weapons are actually valuable to use. Like if you want to convert a player into a different role, so to speak.
Yep.
Because there are a lot, especially, there's going to be a point where you're going to want to make sure your materia are leveled up. You are going to then want to have weapons that have lots of materia slots.
The subpar armor and Cloud's caster sword come to mind, yeah.
Or Tifa's Sonic Striker.
Oh god, the Sonic Strikers, okay, to be fair, Star Shower is awesome, but boy, the rest of those gloves are crap.
But like I said, I mean, it's not a very strong, like, physical weapon, but it makes her an amazing caster.
So there is also a way that you can set it so that it auto levels up your weapons.
Oh, you can. But
you can set it up.
But then you can't choose which skills you want.
Nope. And sometimes you go, no, I need to have all 4 materia slots on these gloves because these gloves are crap at everything but casting. I want the magic up. I don't care about the attack up. And then you get the next set of gloves and you go, oh, okay. I want to make sure that I get attack +8, attack +8, attack +4, attack +4, attack +6. And I don't care about anything else on this until I get to enough to start getting the criticals and the damage upgrade percentages. You want to go raw stats first, and if you hit the auto upgrade, it starts at the bottom and works its way up.
Yep.
So it'll finish a whole of tier 1 before it moves on to tier 2. Even
Granted,
if you buy something else.
You can restat your weapons.
Yep.
You can reset all of your upgrades for just a gil cost, I believe. I've never actually done it because I've been doing it all myself. But I have to say, the person that you restat from, he's pretty awesome overall.
He is an interesting character. I think he's a good addition to the game.
He's a mini Ignis.
Yes.
I've done it.
Yep. I've come up with a new materia. I saw that and just lost it. I was like, oh, good. We have a new character that.
And every time he does that, I go,
remake.
I've done it.
Yeah, the snap.
Yep.
Whenever there's a new character in a remake, we always kind of get really hesitant. Like, oh no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh no, he's fine.
Like Chocobo Sam, like Madam M, like Andrea Rodea. What were their when we were introduced to them before the game came out, and we talked about them a little bit and what they did, they seemed so flat. When we first encountered them, they seemed so flat. But they're actually not bad characters.
And then we play DDR, and it's a good time.
No, I think overall, I have an extremely positive experience with the remake. I've really enjoyed, coming back to this. The expanded Midgar story has been amazing. The points that punch you in the gut with the emotions have still been there. There's been a few new ones as well. Like, yeah, we're not going to talk about them, but there have been more than a fair share of people cutting onions around here. I've really been enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to continuing the push. I'm on chapter 14 right now, so I've been holding off proceeding because if I go too far, then I'm going to lose access to a lot of where I'm at right now. I want to do all the side quest stuff.
Spoiler alert, keep going.
I will, but I'm gonna. I guess I know you can catch back up on it in chapter select.
Yeah. Okay, then you already knew about that.
I knew about that. However, I still want to experience things in the initial playthrough. I know there's a couple of things for like I said, you and I have very different opinions on all of what's on this game. We
oh yeah, for sure.
So I know there are a few actual like trophy things that I'm gonna go back on that I missed out on because of poor performance in like the motorcycle game and stuff like that. But
there's also a section where like because it's like here's your chapter of mini games, and I just went, wow, this feels like Fallout. Okay, cool. Like I'm in a crappy settlement, and I'm trying to do a bunch of stuff for a whole bunch of people that I didn't know until this cutscene started. It feels like Fallout. And then I got to another one of those, and I was just like, ugh, I don't want to spend another hour and a half doing this. And then I proceeded to get absolutely rocked in combat for the next 3 hours of the game because I didn't do like 6 side quests and a bunch of mini boss battles.
Whereas I've been doing all of the side quests and boss battles and getting materia and doing all of the little information gathering stuff. And like I said, I'm sitting at level 27 right now.
My information gathering, one of them was bugged, so I actually had to back up my save file and then re-download the game. Because I got the bugged version of it. There's one where you have to stagger something, hit it with a unique ability, and then when you hit with a unique ability, it should auto charge one of your ATBs.
The third one.
To full.
I finally got that one completed.
If your ATB meter if you have at least one ATB meter full, it won't fill your second one.
I did it using Tifa's unique abilities, and that pushed it right up.
Too. Yep, that's what I did too. Tifa's are easier than Cloud's because Cloud's unique ability is the defensive action one where he goes into the other form.
Yeah, and that's
so Tifa's are the fastest.
Tricky.
You can hit hers most consistently. But if your ATB meter is at like 1 plus a little bit, it won't fill the second one if you have the wrong version of the game. So I had to delete my version of the game and reinstall it, and then I just went into like a random combat with a bunch of rats, and I had it in like 2 fights. And I was like, oh, all right. It was just broken. So if yours doesn't trigger, that's why.
Interesting. Maybe it might have been because you have you downloaded it, or it downloaded to your PlayStation ahead of time.
About 10 days early.
Whereas mine was the off a disc.
Off disc plus patch. So as opposed to
there was no patch.
Was there no patch?
There was no patch.
Oh, you had okay. A friend of mine installed hers off disc. She played for about 45 minutes,
Unless it did it in the background, but
yeah, she came back and hers had patched in the background. And she's on like.
And it also may have patched while I was at work. So
that's valid if you leave your system on standby or whatever.
Yep, I do.
But
Just
yeah,
for that reason.
Mine got patched, and it wasn't a big deal. Like I was short of materia for 2 chapters. Okay, if I was not paying attention to the game or really new to playing, I would have missed that anyway. It's not a big deal. So it didn't break my game experience. It was just kind of like, well, I would have been nice if that had gotten caught. But at the same time, I worked at Nintendo. I remember when one of the Zelda games that launched was just straight up hard lock, mail your system into Redmond and we will fix it for you broken. So
yeah, this
stuff gets through.
This was an easy fix.
This was an easy fix. This was re-download the game and you're done.
So what is your initial thoughts of the game?
So as somebody that did not like 7 originally, and as somebody that has a medical problem where developing memories is really hard, nostalgia doesn't work on me, and I didn't like 7. So I came into this basically brand new, with I could recognize the characters and I kind of know the story, but I don't really. I'm basically coming in kind of new. There's some characters that I actively do not like because the version of them that is in this game is apparently played in a slightly different way from what people remember them being played as. There's also characters that I absolutely adore that people are raising their eyebrows like, are you sure you like this character or do you like the remake version of this character? It's like, yes, I love Barrett because I like John. I love Jessie because she's hilarious. She has like 5-line text boxes of dialogue in the original game. It doesn't even matter. But
she is a very
amazing.
Different character in this game.
Oh my god, she is so horny. It is funny as hell, and she's so smart.
All of Avalanche is very different in this game. And
Biggs is my favorite character of the game, honestly.
Biggs is pretty cool. Wedge is he's somebody you want to protect though too. You know?
Wedge is growing on me. He's gone from hilarious cinnamon roll to, oh right, he has a grenade launcher, to all he ever wants to do is protect other people.
And his cats.
And well,
sorry,
yeah,
hashtag spoilers.
You see that in like, oh, I want to protect my cats, I care about them a lot. And you're like, he's protecting all of these cats. It's like, that's not what their narrative piece is trying to tell you. What it's trying to tell you is that he's a very, 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 very empathetic person. And so he cares about others a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing that with cats because cats are easier to animate than people. But it gives you a huge insight to his character. But yeah, Avalanche is incredibly cool. Marlene is amazing.
Oh my god.
She's fantastic. Aerith's mom is amazing. And there's little side characters like your landlady. Like, what? Like, I don't remember that from the original game. But she's one of the coolest characters.
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah. Spoiler for anybody that likes Power Rangers and ever watched Power Rangers as a kid. Your landlady is Barbara Goodson, who played Rita Repulsa.
Really?
So your landlady is Rita Repulsa. In the English version,
so
at least.
Finally, after 10,000 years,
1,000 years, I will collect the rent. Anyway,
that's a lot of back rent.
That's a lot of rent. Oh my god. But yeah, so there's just been a lot of really good things in this game, and I'm seeing it kind of piece by piece. Logically, I'm looking through it as a emotional response piece. I'm not seeing the same emotional response that I was told I would have, because my experience is very different than most people that played 7. So there are characters that people adore that I want to see get hit by a train. And there are characters that I absolutely love that people look at me and they go, she doesn't matter. And I'm like, but she shares a voice actress with Futaba and she's funny and has cool hair. Like, it does, like, my reason for liking the character has nothing to do with Final Fantasy VII.
And you can like what you like, so.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, there are some characters that's a spoiler alert I'm not super excited with. If you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, you would know.
And we'll talk more about that. We're actually going to do full
week.
coverage on the game next episode, episode 120, which will be on May 3rd. We're also going to have a special guest joining us. So
yeah. Also gives me some time to actually play it, given that it just
and Seyrr,
started.
Don't feel that you have to finish the game. I have a feeling that it's going to be, if as much as you get into the game, you're going to probably easily spend 35, 40 hours in it.
I wasn't sleeping anyways.
I mean, I'm at 27
I
hours
wasn't
right now, I think.
sleeping anyway.
I'm just saying.
Your
I'm at
face
25
is
hours.
just
I'm in the same spot you are, Klauss. It's
Yeah.
fine.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm estimating there's probably going to be another 15 hours for me-ish. I don't know. I'm not looking forward. I don't want to spoil any of it. I'm everything that I'm doing on stream. So what you're seeing when you watch, that's my gut reaction to it. So
Yeah. The main thing that might delay me is I actually got the copy because my dad went ahead and sprung for it for me. We play the original Final Fantasy VII. We still have a lot of random old in jokes about it. So I want to make sure that I can at least stream some of it for him.
yeah, just let me know when you want to do that, so I make sure that I'm not streaming at the same time.
Oh, right. Well, I might also just do like a direct stream to him or something. I'll figure it.
Oh yeah, you can do that through Discord.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah,
However you
there's
wanna do
just
it.
like
Or
lots of good fond memories attached, all the stuff like that. So I just appreciate the whole like, hey, here's this thing we can kind of share with each other.
Or if you guys out on watching us on Twitch, if you guys want to see Seyrr's playthrough on this, let us know, and then we'll work something out for you.
Oh, right. I guess that's a thing we could do.
Yeah, because like I said, you have access to stream on here.
Sometimes people want to see what the hell I'm
Oh,
doing.
wait.
So weird.
Hold on. Wait, you're not set up for PS4
We'll figure it-
streaming right now. We'll have to figure that out.
Yeah.
It could be a thing.
I might be. I tried to show my dad Persona 5 at.
So yeah, that could be difficult depending on how. Yeah, we'll figure something out for you. All right, moving on. There were 2 new Inside Final Fantasy VII Remake videos released since the last episode. Part 4 dealt with the music and sound effects, and Part 5 dealt with the graphic and visual effects. I'll be copying and pasting these into the chat as well as in the show notes. Just give me a second here to get this right. Copy, paste. Had you guys checked these out at all, or been watching these as they've been coming out?
I haven't mostly
I watched the
because
4th one.
of spoiling stuff, even though I know they'll probably avoid spoilers.
Yeah, they've been really pretty good at avoiding most spoilers in them. Though I did hear that people thought that there was too much spoileriness in the final trailer. But with that said, with the music and sound effects one, I think this is the one where they talked about it. They created this whole new system that basically uses AI to change. And actually, maybe it goes between both of them, but it changes how sound effects are applied to the characters, like
Yes,
environmental
that was the
sound
fourth one.
effects. What was it called? The
I do not remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was in the 4th one, and it was like, if you walk through a puddle, or if you hit something, or if somebody is doing something nearby that has a random chance of making a noise, depending on where you are, will determine how things around you react.
And they also talked about how the facial structure and lip syncing are automatically changed based off of the localization you're using.
Oh, damn.
That I did not know.
Yeah, I think
that
that
sounds awesome.
That might have been in part 5. Yeah, because they were talking about how they have a special system in place that if you watch really close during one of a cut scene or a dialogue scene, for instance, Tifa's lip movement in the English is going to be slightly different than it is in French because of the length of the actual dialogue, the words that are spoken. So you're going to notice some slight differences there, so you don't get that lip sync lag that you would see in a lot of localizations.
That's such a long time. I remember going back even to like to Final Fantasy X with the first voice acting of Final Fantasy, where at least part of the odd speech patterns were because they were trying to not stray too far from what the visuals were doing.
Yeah, they wanted to keep it within that little loop, so you weren't speaking 2 seconds after their lips stopped moving.
Yeah, that like will allow. We can correct for some amount of it, but a gap that big is just jarring. And the fact that they've been able to actually start bringing the visual, they must be. Damn.
Yeah, they're using AI algorithms to do this. It's amazing. So it's all happening. So if you switch your language on your disc, it will change.
Huh.
Pretty cool.
I know that when we were trying to do skip beat script writing, that was one of the biggest issues that we had, was that the lip flaps were massive and they were all over exaggerated because the show is about acting and singing. So everybody's mouths and faces were way more animated than the rest of the scene. And so now as we were trying to do ADR, we're like, okay, well, we have to do this in English, but it also has to be in Japanese, but she's also singing, and we have to match lip flaps to all this.
Ugh.
It was awful. I spent 45 minutes researching a 4-second scene. It was terrible. But we made it.
Yeah,
It's done now.
And now computers are doing it all for you.
Thank God. This is one that I'm okay with having our robot overlords take my job. That shit was difficult, dude.
But no, it was pretty amazing. So I strongly recommend, if you haven't watched any of these behind or the Inside Final Fantasy Remake, go watch them. They're actually really informative and they're really good.
Agreed. Please watch at least the first 1 or 2, and then if it's not your style, that's fine. But those 2 don't spoiler much and will give you a lot of insight.
The other thing I liked what they talked about in the music one was the fact that they created multiple versions of the music, because they're dynamically changing the score just a little bit depending on the situation within the game. So you have dynamic music changes.
Yes. Yeah. So when you're at an area the first time, when you're at an area the second time, when you're running through it because you have to go back, like
it's more relaxed. It's more just, kind of in the background. But when they want you to feel a little more emotion, or if it's a more tense thing, they change the music and they add that tension within that particular score, and you feel it.
It's so cool.
Yes, and they use, again, these AI algorithms to know when you get to that point, because they can't just put it on a timer, because you're not moving at a specific pace throughout the thing. You might be lagging back here or there. You might be going in faster. So when it detects you get there, it automatically just transitions very smoothly into that different version, and it just sounds so good. It's been natural, and when you can't notice the jarring change is when they're doing it really well.
So just in case anybody listening is curious, Klauss loves music and has a shitload of instruments. And in case you couldn't tell, your voice was starting to do the thing that it does when you get really fucking excited about something.
Yeah, could hear it.
I was like, damn, he's all in. Okay.
No,
like, just sit back, write it out.
Yep, it was awesome. Please do more of that. That was amazing.
Well, I guess I
look at me. I Klauss and I care about things.
It's also Final Fantasy, and it's something that I really care about.
It's
look
true.
At me. I Klauss and I have the capacity to care.
Don't be jelly. Anyway, so apparently, I happened to see a Kotaku article. I know Kotaku.
Ooh baby.
Person was complaining or commenting that they were trying to get a physical copy of the game, and they had pre-ordered.
Have you looked out your window?
They pre-ordered from, I think they said Best Buy or something like that, and apparently their copy had gotten lost, or they didn't receive enough copies. Because a lot of places had to actually cancel pre-orders because they were not going to be getting the stock because of what's going on. So apparently there actually is a shortage of physical copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they're extremely hard to find.
Damn.
Yeah, normally I'm big on having a physical copy, doctrine of first sale, all that. I went with the digital download this time just because this is
Yeah, you and I were talking about this earlier today because we wanted to figure out how you could best get a copy of it. And, me, I went with the physical copy because I like having the physical stuff.
And in most cases, I would do that. Just I had held off for other reasons. I was waiting for money stuff to come in, and then this all happened. It's like, well, this is not what I would have chosen, but it's this or nothing.
Yep. And, down the road, like I said, I know that once this kind of passes, they will be ramping up production again. There will be more copies made because it's not impossible to remake a new, to press a new disc and send out a new box. But, for those who want to get into it right now, if you need to get that physical copy, I did some research. The only places I could find they were for sale, I think I did this last night or early this morning, Walmart and Target.com. The only places that are still selling copies. I checked Amazon. I checked Newegg, Best Buy, GameStop, and even the Square Enix store.
Ugh.
All on waiting lists or sold out.
Ugh.
But
That's
a Target about 50 miles away from here has it. Or you can get it on get it shipped to store and have it in about a week kind of thing. Or sent to your house type of thing. But yeah, that's the only places I found that had it at all. And that was just the standard edition.
The other places that you can potentially look is any of your like big box or medium box all-in-one stores, things like Fred Meyer, where it's like you have clothes on one side of the store and furniture is over here, but there's also a grocery store in the middle. Those kind of places usually have an electronics department that is largely forgotten about. That's actually been my hot trick for buying video games for years is you go there at like 10:55 on like a Thursday and you'd be like, hey, this game comes out at midnight. And they go, it sure does. And then they just hand it to you because they just don't care. So I've bought physical games there at super later at night.
Though in this scenario, I don't think you're going to have the same luck.
Unfortunately not. I will say that if you are in the Bothell area, find me on Twitter at Taliz Marvelous, and I will tell you which stores have copies of Final Fantasy VII because I know of 3.
Okay, so there are some available in Western Washington.
There are, but it's like, here's 3 stores, and I think they each have like a copy.
Yeah, that's
or something. Like,
yeah,
it's bad.
Like I said, the fact that they had to cancel pre-orders with people who ordered at GameStops and stuff like that's
so dumb.
Yeah,
like I don't know why. Gratefully, I went for the digital anyway, but like there was also a certain thing, Tuesday, Wednesday, people were like, I have my copy, and I'm just like, cool, I have mine too. It's installed with a timer on it.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I guess I went through the whole reason why I ended up sticking with the version I went with because Amazon had it for $10 less. I got
for sure
the digital I got the deluxe physical edition for $10 more than what the standard edition would have cost.
That's worth it.
Exactly.
That's the difference. Is like I'm not usually the person that's going to buy the special edition because it's $30 more and comes with a soundtrack. I don't own anything to play that on, so that doesn't really matter to me. It comes with a poster. Okay, nothing is hanging on my walls, so that doesn't really do anything for me. It's not worth $30. But that motorcycle figure, though.
If I had the $300, I would have bought that. I would have ordered it from the Square Enix store. Chili got it. Nick Nar got it. A few other friends ordered it. Like I said, I could not justify $300. And in this time right now, I'm glad that I didn't go that route. But
How many times have we bought $300 emotes that came with free Shiva statues, though?
Well, me never. I mean, I have bought $200 collector's editions of expansions though that came with shit, but.
Oh yeah, but like, okay, I bought the collector's edition of Shadowbringers. Duh, like Shadowbringers was awesome, and I've been playing 14 for years.
That
makes sense.
and the Dark Knight statue is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best of the statues that have come with the collector's editions. The Midgard Stormer was a joke. Xenos is okay, but that Dark Knight, Holy shit, that Dark Knight was worth it.
I bought the digital special edition,
Oh.
of course, so I didn't even get that.
Oh. See, I'm talking, I'm going to the physical ones because we're just talking about the Soldier First Class edition, so.
Yeah, no, I only buy the digital because I move all the time. I do own some physical things. I own a car and tools to work on the car.
And you soon own a bass guitar.
And I'm buying a bass tomorrow.
And I have a regular guitar. We can maybe form a band. We can do the Phoenix Down Radio Band.
Seyrr, you need to learn drums.
Or kazoo.
I mean, I've got a kazoo.
There you go.
Shit.
I usually take vocals, but
we just
sure.
need more cowbell.
Oh, dude, we're down.
You could be my backup singer.
Okay.
Okay.
and play tambourine.
Ooh.
Let's see, and we've got.
Do I need to do the whole hippie flower child costume?
If you want.
You do now.
That feels like the standard tambourine player outfit.
You do now. I've got a piano player and another backup vocalist that plays guitar.
We do need a drummer, though. You're right.
What's
Anyway, let's move on.
What's Luna up to?
I don't think she plays drums. She's busy homeschooling some kids right now.
That's true. Also, hi Luna, we miss you.
Yes, hope you're doing well. There was a little bit of sad news though that I saw on April 12th. The Japanese voice actor Keiji Fujiwara passed away after a long battle with cancer. He was actually the voice actor of Reno in Final Fantasy VII. He was also Arden in Final Fantasy 15. He was Izana Kunagiri in Type 0. He was Garland in Mobius Final Fantasy. And he was Maze Hughes in FMA. He was also only 55 years old, so.
So he was also Shingo in Initial D. So some of the car fans have been posting a lot of pictures of Civics lately in memoriam of him. One of my mom's friends posted a link. 50-year-old mom. They're going to post links on Facebook of the article about Fujiwara-san passing away. And she was like, I thought, you and your sister might want to know in case you had met this guy at a convention or something. We were both like, we haven't met him, but we heard, and it was kind of sad. I posted the comment. It was a GIF of, it's a terrible day for rain, but sir, it's not raining, and it's Mustang crying. And all of their friends were like, holy shit, how did you find such a perfect anime GIF for that? I'm like, all right, here's the backstory and why this GIF in particular hits like a truck.
Yeah. That one is...
That was the moment that my mom and a few friends were like, oh, right, you studied Japanese media analysis in college. It's like, yeah. And it's been interesting going through and seeing, like, what all has Fujiwara-san done? And there's so much that he's done for Square Enix, and so much that he's done
in Kingdom Hearts as well.
He's in Kingdom Hearts. He's done a ton of stuff with JC Staff, and again, he's 55. We hear all of these voice actors, and they're all playing 17-year-old boys with power fantasies and anime, but they're all like in their 40s and 50s, all of them. And when we lose one, it's not that we're losing one; we're losing 24 characters that over the last 10, 20 years, we've developed this emotional bond with through watching them in shows and in movies and reading a manga later and thinking about that voice in our head. Yeah, so this was definitely a sad thing to read.
Yeah, it makes me sad, because that was going to be one of my new cosplays for Detour was Maze Hughes.
Still should be.
I will still be cosplaying, but I mean, it hit there because Hughes was one of my favorite characters in that show, even though he wasn't in it very long.
Nope.
What his impact and his, he was just an amazing character. That
There's some characters that we watch and play and through video games or anime or TV or movies. There's some characters that they can be there for 5 minutes and rip our heart apart. And there's some characters that we can watch for years and go, well, that's unfortunate. And it's cool because we all are approaching characters very, very differently, like how we all responded at the end of Heaven's Word. And there's a lot of people that didn't make it out of Heaven's Word, but we remember a few people a lot stronger than most. So we have to look at these as
And
nothing is permanent. All things are impermanent. Be grateful for the things you have now.
And the thing is, like I said, a lot of our opinion and our feelings about these characters are based off of how they were portrayed by people like Fujiwara-san. So his loss it's a loss to a lot of people.
So if you have a moment in the next few days and you've liked anything that he has ever been in, take a moment of silence for Fujiwara-san. Thank you for everything that you have done.
Yeah, and go rewatch some of that or go replay some of that.
Yes, for sure.
Except for Mobius, because you can't play that anymore.
Rest and rip.
I think you still can for like another month.
Oh,
or
I
two.
thought it was basically done. You're right. Maybe it is still
I
till
think
June.
the servers are up through the end of
June. Yeah, that's right. See, I thought we were further on in the year than maybe just want us to be further on in the year.
Did you know that March was the longest month ever?
and April is coming up to be the shortest.
Oh my god! Right? Like what the hell?
I mean, we're already 2/3 of the way through it. It feels like
We're
it just
20 days
started.
through April, and yeah, March took like 700 years.
Yeah.
Time doesn't really mean anything anymore.
No.
Nope. Time is an illusion. Lunchtime doubly so.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
I do what I can.
All right, moving on. Final Fantasy XIV news. We recently received notice that the Live Letter 58 is scheduled for April 24th at 4 a.m. Pacific time. My ass is not getting up for that. Well, it's in Japanese time, so of course they're going to do it normal time.
Man, it was really nice watching the Live Letter in like the middle of the afternoon. That was great.
You mean for the couple weeks you were there?
For the 2 weeks I was there, that Live Letter came out. I'm still jealous that Ruby got to be at Cafe Orzia and watch the Live Letter
That's pretty
at
sweet.
Cafe Orzia.
Nice.
That would have been so cool.
It's going to be our first look at patch 5.3. And, of course, Yoshida will be going to visit one of the worlds with his character and interact with all the players there. Most likely it's going to be Elemental or Mana, but...
Probably.
And there are more details out on the Lodestone. I will copy-paste this into the show notes as well as right now into Twitch, so you guys can check that out if you want to. And as we were discussing a little bit earlier in the show, patch 5.25 is now live. They added a new trial with normal and extreme difficulties. That trial was something else. Did you guys do it with a party or did you do it with trusts?
I don't think you have an option to do it except with...
Is it just trusts?
Yeah, it's part of that entire sequence.
Okay, see, I thought maybe you had an opportunity to choose, but...
Nope.
So the fact that you get to do an 8-man trial with the Scions was actually kind of cool.
Yep, it was like I was talking about with Spender afterwards. It's like, well, that was a neat technical demo proof of concept for trust trials.
Okay, I thought maybe you could do it with a group, but
nope.
I haven't done mine yet.
Okay, it's trippy as fuck.
Good.
Yeah, it is a really interesting sequence. There's a lot of lore implications that, once again, we've been arguing about. Wait, what the fuck does this mean? Are they retreading on this? There's the usual for that. But it's a really fun and interesting sequence that Matsuno actually posted a bit on Twitter about. A lot of it draws from inspirations for the original plans for the Vagrant Story sequel.
Okay. There was plans for a Vagrant Story sequel?
Yeah, it never happened, but a lot of it would involve... Yeah, a lot of it would have involved, poking around and, because there's the entire thing of the same story told from multiple viewpoints and not being sure what the truth was. This was going to involve a bit of, poking around in people's minds, trying to find the memories that they had edited or otherwise changed because they were too painful, and delving into those to find the truth.
Yeah, the only spoiler I'm going to give on this is we're poking around in Sid's head. And it's a scary place. Sid's head is scary. But when you've seen what he's seen, you understand why.
Yeah. It was another one where we filled, plot-wise, we filled in some details that we had suspected, but it's nice to have confirmation.
So go play it, Taliz, for fuck's sake.
It's
actually
cool.
It's really good. I think you'll enjoy it. Plus,
get there.
Plus, there is an interaction. You were talking about interactions with Rowena and Geralt before. There's some really, really interesting interactions with Rowena and Geralt in this one.
Oh my
Again,
god.
Geralt's mind. I think the alcohol has gotten to him.
That was another one where it's like, there's elements of this that we'd known about or had hinted at, but having some of those details, oh my god, I love that entire sequence.
That sequence, yes. Like I was laughing so hard.
Also, from a technical perspective, the motions, that wasn't just, hey, we're going to string together a bunch of emotes. That was motion capture there.
It was pretty good. Like I said, I enjoyed the story, even though it was short. The story does require that you completed the raid series from
Return to Ivalice.
That one, yes, the Ivalice one. Thank you. I couldn't think of the name.
Which
Brainy.
they did simplify some of the parts. They made Thunder God Sid a bit less of a killer, among other things. So should be a bit easier.
So
to
you
do
no
that
longer have to actually do mechanics.
Oh, did they nerf it?
I think you still need to do some, but it's less of the 1 foot wrong and Thunder God Sid lays the entire
raid onto the flower. Okay.
I always thought that was fun though, but that's just me.
I mean, it's very much in the spirit of Thunder God Sid.
Yes.
But if they want people to be able to access it,
Flem Guy will still one-shot everybody if they're not all on their pads in Labyrinth.
Yeah, it's not just an ignore mechanics thing.
I know.
Not everyone needs to be on pads. Enough people. I think 6 people can be not.
It's 4 or 6. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think you need 6 per pad, so 18 of the 24 in the alliance.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, but it's a thing where one person can mess up and it doesn't wipe the entire alliance. And there's been a long-standing thing of, okay, you've got the main story sequence, and then you've got, hey, here are these kind of side stories, like the raids, other stuff like that. It really seems like they're starting to move away a bit away from that and have a lot of the stuff more integrated, it all being part of one big story, which is exciting.
It is exciting. I like it when we have big overarching stories.
I also read, this is not related to that, but it's as far as 5.25, but it's related to the required things. I've also read that there's going to be a requirement that you, in order to proceed with a storyline in 5.3, you're going to have to have finished Crystal Tower.
Yes, that was something where I saw some of the interviewing with Yoshi P about this.
I'm okay with that.
And it makes complete sense.
They wanted to be something where it wasn't required for the initial Shadowbringer stuff, that they could say, oh, well, this is something that's going to happen in your time stream, because they didn't want to completely shut people out of the new expansion. They wanted to get them into it, get them hyped, get them excited. But now it's becoming more of a, okay, we do want this to become part of a thing. And that's another thing that's touching on that whole integration of the side stories and main story.
Mm-hmm. And it's not a bad story either. You learn a lot about the past of the game, and its world building, and then, like I said, we learn, about the Allagans, Grahatia, his relationship with all of that, and why the hell he's in the first. It all ties it together in a nice little bow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go do it.
Plus, half the time, Alliance Duty Roulette has a Crystal Tower thing anyway, so you can clear it without even trying.
And if you need help running it, let us know. We'll put something together. We'll queue up with you and we'll help you get through it. It's not that difficult.
I could use the tomestones.
So yeah.
Yeah. Join us.
If you're on Primal, let us know. We'll help you out. Additional things added in 5.25. The resistance weapons for Disciples of War and Disciples of Magic have been added. Your first one's free. Each additional one's going to requires 4 Thavnarian scale powders, which cost a total of 1,000 Poetics tomes.
Which, for a thing in the relic weapon grind, it's I had to double take a couple times because that just seemed way too cheap. Not that I'm complaining, just
and they're actually nice weapons. I think the models, with the exception of the White Mage one, look good.
I think the White Mage one looks fine.
The White Mage gets a fucking stick.
It's a good-looking stick.
It's a fucking stick.
Don't use the stick for that.
Oh my.
God damn it, Seyrr. That was great. I don't know why that hit me as hard as it did, but that was really funny. Holy shit.
Like it's
Okay.
it looks like maybe it's the like fancy hammer type of thing. Maybe it doesn't look like a stick.
It's a stick. It's a branch with a crystal in it.
I kind of want to find that McSweeney's article that gets linked every November. It's decorative gourd season, motherfuckers. Because I feel like it has that energy.
It kind
True
of
enough.
does.
Okay. Anyway, I was reading about a lot of people who are really salty about that.
Yeah, well, they have no taste.
No, but I'm just saying all these
Fight
other
me, bro.
all these other weapons had beautiful designs put to them. White mages get a stick.
1v1 me at Baron.
No. We're gonna. I have not smoked for over a year. Do not bring that shit back in. Swear to God.
I am going to make the meme template. I'm going to put your head on that guy's body that says the white mage staff is just fine. Change my mind.
Excellent. I'm Seyrr and I approve this.
It's decorative stick season. Change my mind.
It's decorative. No. All of this is terrible.
We now have a title for the episode. It's decorative stick season.
Hey guys, we got the title done before an hour after it's done.
You really want the motherfuckers in there just for effect, but I guess that would I guess the podcatchers would have a problem with that.
They would. They absolutely
Probably.
would. And they also added Sky Steel tools. Yippee, I can talk. I've only had 12 beers.
You did
just
your
kidding.
best.
Did he
For
though?
the
Did he?
DOH
I
and
don't
DOL.
think so.
So we have new relics, so to speak, for crafters and gatherers.
They are actually also fairly nice looking. They're also, everyone's going to have different definitions of what's easy or hard to get. If you participated in the Ishgardian restoration, you will not have serious problems.
Well, also, even fully kitted out, they're comparable, but they're not best in slot compared to a fully melded facet hand, correct?
Yeah, it's something where, for the crafting tools, it's reasonably comparable, except you can't have CP on there, and CP is the stat that everyone loves, so not as good for that. The gathering ones, I'm not quite sure. They honestly see okay. Also, in general, they're really nice looking.
So, I mean, if you want something to sink your script into, you can do that, because each step requires quite a few script.
Yeah.
1,000, right?
More than that. I mean,
1,000 for 1,000 yellow script, not white script, yellow script. So I appreciate that they're not making us go through all of the really nasty currencies first off.
True.
Yeah. Like the accessibility of this is something I actually really appreciate. But it's 1,000 yellow script for the first upgrade of a crafting tool, 1,500 upgrade.
And that just gets you that doesn't get you to the end, though, does it?
It gets you to the end of what's currently available, yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's 2,500 script each.
Yep.
And
which, I mean, that's a week's custom deliveries can get you like 1.5.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And it's a decent amount of crafting, and you do have to gather some items. The leatherworker one requires a couple of different types of animal skins that you have to actually go get or buy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
It's not all just script items.
Yeah. Which is one of the things that makes it a lot more accessible than the Ishgardian restoration recipes. You can get high quality materials and use them to increase your starting quality.
Yeah.
Much more easily than you could with Ishgard recipes.
Yeah. Fuck those
Like,
Ishgard
it is
recipes. Like,
I'm
seriously.
just gonna I'll just hide my Beta of the Firmament title now, shall I?
No,
Yeah, I saw that earlier. I was like, are we going to get to make fun of him for this?
I was number 16 culinarian on the server and number 50-something in fishing, I want to say.
That's damn good, dude.
I mean, it's easy to get, you know, a lot of stuff in the diadem. I mean, because you go in there and they dump mats in your lap, basically. Plus, you get to shoot a giant laser beam, which that's the best part of the whole thing. But it's just time consuming, and then it takes up a lot of space in your inventory. And
oh god, I had to leave, dump my inventory, and come back in with an empty one, just to like have enough space for just casually grabbing stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crafting was interesting. It was actually like it was a type of thing I've wanted to be, where you can't just mash a macro and you have to actually think about what you're doing. I loved it.
Depending on what you're looking for at the time, you know, if that's what you want to do, great. I don't always want to sit there and have to figure out which button I need to push now and do that. 'Cause sometimes I just want to mindlessly play the game.
And that's why you're not recognized as a saint of the firmament.
Nope. I'm just, you know, leveling up all my other stuff, so. And running a podcast.
True. And
So yeah,
pizza.
that's and delivering lots of fucking pizza. So yeah, that was basically what we got out of 5.25. We're not going to spoil the story on that. Just go do it. It's worth it. It's fun. I think you'll enjoy it.
Oh, and there was the X. Did we talk about the X trial at all?
We're not going to.
It exists. It's one of the more accessible ones.
There's a
Spender does a lot of extreme trials, and he put it like somewhere a little below the middle of difficulty of the ones we've had.
I don't know. It took us. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna say it. I did try it with a group of random people in Party Finder, and it took us an entire lockout to figure out the first phase. Just because of the number of different things that are happening. There's a lot of stuff going on.
We managed to get consistently into the second phase in the first party we tried with, so it might just be a difference of styles.
Well, I guess, I mean, we saw the second phase, but like I said, to consistently get through it, you know, we didn't get very far into the second phase, you know, towards the end of that, so.
We learned some neat Latin. It was fun.
But, I mean, like I said, I don't want to, if we talk about it too much, it will spoil the story, and I don't want to do that right now.
The loot in question is 5 materia slot versions of the artifact armor that's eye level 480. You get coffers of it that drop directly 2 tokens per fight, and they're 3 or 5 tokens each for the pieces. So it's not too hard to get a set of clothes.
Yeah, but it's. I'm wondering if this is going to be similar to the upgraded armor that we had in Eureka, where there's going to be more steps of it.
I don't know.
Or if this is just an upgrade of the weathered gear.
I think it's just. I feel like it's just an upgrade of the weathered gear, in part because this trial is not required whatsoever.
True, and well, neither was Eureka. I mean, Eureka was only for artifacts, weapons, and armor.
Also, the thrilling story. Anyway,
I still I forgot that I was like, oh, I haven't unlocked the first Eureka yet when the last one came out. I unlocked it, went in, and went, oh, hey, nobody's doing this. And then immediately forgot that I had it unlocked for 6 months until it got mentioned on the show. And I went, oh, yeah. And then I went in after the show and I was like, oh, now there's even fewer people in here. Okay, this is pointless.
It's a lot more soloable now. So
yeah, you can get through it a little bit easier, but I don't know, getting some of the crystals will be a little bit tough.
Honestly, at this point, it's just really complicated glamour gear.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
I mean, if you want to experience the storyline, you can always watch it on YouTube.
That's probably for the best, yeah.
While part of me wants to be like, that's an atrocious way to look at content for a game we love, I'm like, nah.
For certain content, totally I will agree with you there. I mean, there are things, I want people to go through Coil and experience that.
Let's talk about Original Diadem.
No, we can't because I'm one of the few people who actually liked the Original Diadem.
Okay.
And you were wrong.
Nope. Here's how we talk about the Original Diadem. Don't spend a long time taking care of a mistake just because you spent a long time making the mistake.
like I said, I didn't enjoy Diadem because of the way the content was. I enjoyed it because of the company I kept while playing it.
That's valid. That's absolutely for sure. But if you're playing with good
like
people,
that's a damning with faint praise kind of thing.
I will play a shitty game with people I like before I will play a good game with people I don't like.
Look at Fortnite.
Yeah.
Do I have to?
Exactly. It's terrible. But if you get 6 or 7 people that you like dicking around in that game, it's really fun.
Look at Animal Crossing.
Nope, that's okay. Animal Crossing can be set on fire and sent to the pit of hell.
See,
So adorable.
see,
Nope, it's awful.
See, I knew that I was going to get somebody with this one. We're going to be triggering people on this one. I know it.
So fun fact, I worked on Animal Crossing New Leaf, so like I know the game is really good, and I understand why the game is a product that is made to sell. I personally can't stand it because I remember sitting in a white noise room yelling French curse words at a collection of DSs set up across a desk. That's what I think of when I think of Animal Crossing, and yet I still don't want the game.
Well, I just don't have a
very unique
Switch.
collection
So.
of traumas.
I do, in fact. Remember that time that I illegally entered a country and then had to hide from immigration?
You have a very unique set of traumas.
Now remember, that's the second time that I was referring to.
And maybe not
I'm
even
alive and safe.
and
by
maybe
the
not
way.
even the most recent one.
Yeah, exactly. Not the recent one, the one before.
Can I buy you a drink or some therapy?
Please. My Venmo, no, it's over here.
If somebody were to donate to the podcast and saying this is for Taliz's drink, I would send it to him.
If somebody tips $5 to the podcast, I will let you keep that, and I will walk downstairs and grab a beer because that would be funny as hell.
What if they donate saying this is for his therapy?
Well,
I will also grab the whiskey.
Yeah,
That's not how therapy works.
it depends on who you are.
Not with that attitude.
Moving on. That's the like I said, that's the gist of patch 5.25. We're not going to really talk about the trial or the storyline on that until you guys have had a chance to experience it. So just go do it. It's good
It's
stuff.
pretty cool.
I think you guys will enjoy it. It's fun. You know, when you traipsing around in Sid's mind. All right. We have been trying to talk about this next bit for about a month and a half.
And guess what? We might not get to all of it.
You're right. You know what? Because I'm looking at the time right now. We've been going for an hour and a half.
Our podcast is turning into 3 guys hang out and talk about shit.
And
I
you
hope
know
that's
what?
cool.
In
I
this
mean, that's
time,
kind of a mood these days.
in this day and age, you know, even if I fourth wall breaking, even if you guys listening maybe don't enjoy that right now, the 3 of us need this.
Is this our personal therapy project? Because I could be okay with that.
You know what? It could definitely be a thing like that. For those of you who don't know me in real life, I live alone. I live in this house to myself. My only socialization is Final Fantasy XIV when I stream on here and when I go to work. All right? So when I get to talk with these 2 yahoos, it is very therapeutic to me. I was very, very low energy and down prior to the start of the show. I do not sound that way now, do I?
Nope.
This is what these 2
weird,
do to
right?
me.
It hits you like you're like, I don't feel like doing the show tonight, but I know that
I know
have
when
a
I do
commitment,"
it.
And then an hour and a half you're in, we're like, yeah,
But I
that's
know
great.
I know that when I get into it, I know that I can feed off of the energy of Seyrr and Taliz and talking about this thing that I love, and my energy level skyrockets and I feel amazing until I hit that end stream button, and then it's like, oh, that was a thing.
Just to check, we're not talking about cocaine right now, are we?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
I'm not.
So I am enjoying a very, very tasty Loon Juice Honeycrisp hard cider right now.
That is not where I thought that sentence was going.
Where is your mind at right now, Seyrr?
I watched a lot of The Good Place. Mindy St. Clair loves her cocaine.
Seyrr, is there something that you want to talk with us about?
Yeah,
Oh my god, I will talk with you about that for hours.
No,
Okay,
I mean, is there some sort? Did somebody touch you in an improper place?
No, that's like half the fucking problem.
Wow. Wow. All right. I don't-
Huh.
Oh my.
I have housemates, but like in any type of active relationshipy type thing, and I am deeply touch starved, and it kind of sucks.
No,
It's true.
I
A friend of
feel
mine
ya.
and I had to like exchange something on her porch today. We looked at each other and she's like, I want to hug you so bad. And I'm like, don't. I go to grocery stores all day, 7 days a week. Do not touch me.
Yeah.
I'm the most dangerous person. Please do not.
Stupid question. Like I said, kind of getting back into real life right now. Out in your area, I mean, I know for a while Washington State was a hotbed of COVID.
It's still
Is
bad.
it still really bad? I mean, is everybody wearing masks and gloves in the whole kit?
A lot of people are doing masks. A lot of people are doing gloves. We did kind of have a apocalypse bingo going for a bunch of the shoppers for whatever weird ass thing we would see people wearing. Full face masks, full gas masks, surgical masks, N95s, bandanas, just all kinds of weird stuff. One dude had a full face mask, filter, gas mask, goggles, the whole bit with like wolf ears on it, and went all into the aesthetic, including an airbrushed wolf t-shirt. And I was like, all right, who's got this on their bingo card? Because this is just intense. And then we got like...
Has anybody worn a plague doctor mask?
I know someone who really wants to get one.
There was somebody at the Home Depot at Bitter Lake a couple of days ago.
Did they actually have the fragrance things in the beak of the mask?
No, they just had the mask. They didn't have like the hat or anything. It looked like a steampunk kid trying too hard on the third day of a con. It was just like one piece of the cosplay and then like a t-shirt and jeans. It
Disappoint.
was one of those. Yeah, but you
I'm
know,
very
Sunday
sad
cosplay.
now. But I mean, hey, you've seen one more plague doctor mask than I have, so.
We've gotten a plague doctor. We got a full... What was it? Was it a Doraemon onesie that somebody had the other day? We've had a lot of weird stuff.
So I guess, do we want to talk about the story, or do we want to?
Heck yeah, let's get started on it because we're not going to finish it, but we can at least push.
Yeah,
push
and we cause in next week we're gonna be talking a lot about Final Fantasy VII. So.
Yep, especially with the patch schedule for this game delayed a bit.
Seyrr, I'm gonna let you kind of take over on this because I know your summarization skills are gonna be much better than mine.
I wasn't gonna say it, but yes.
No, I there's a reason why I wanted you on this show, is because, like I said,
Klauss, are you familiar with the term?
You cut out. I didn't hear what you said.
Are you familiar with the term polite fiction? We all know this to be true, but no one needs to say it.
Well,
I'm nodding. Is everybody else nodding? Okay, great.
Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So we did previously talk about the Sorrow of Werelit, just mentioning that because it's going to come up very quickly, and we're just going to acknowledge that it exists and move on. The patch sequence opens with Kryl talking to us at the Rising Stones, letting us know that the Scion's bodies are remaining stable, checking in on that, and in the midst of that, Maxima, the newest Garlean defector, shows up to let us know that there's some oncoming threats from Garlemald that they want to check in with us about. We go to Alamigo to talk to Commander Raban at the front about what's going on at the front lines. There we also see Gaius, who tells us about the entire Imperial Palace sequence, the one that we role-played earlier where we were as Estinian fighting against that Arch Ultima. So he brings us up to speed on what's going on with that. Of course, is the Ruby weapon sequence there. And so we're in a situation where, once again, we've been kind of split between making sure that we're keeping up things on the source and the fate of the Scions on the first. Following the branch that goes back to the first, we head back to the Crystarium, update the Exarch and the Scions about the situation, which that gives them a bit more of a determination to get back to Eorzea, start helping it with its problems, given that the first seems to now be on a much better keel. We get some of the update on from Becklug and Urianger that they're working on, modified white auracite that will be able to hold both soul and memory, thus allowing us to transport the scions back across the rift. But they have a way to make the transfer into the auracite yet. Uh, Captain Lena takes us aside, wanted to talk with us about an important matter. We found that there's a large sin eater that's been sighted, and Lena would like us to help in taking it down along with Chris, in part to act as a kind of impromptu training thing, give us a chance to show them how it's done, help them build confidence, a little bit of kind of helping prepare the Crystarium to be ready for when we leave. But when we do arrive on the scene, the Sin Eater has already been slain. The Crystarium guards tell us that a man came out of nowhere, killed the creature with a single swing of his axe, and claimed to be a warrior of light. Again, Lena's a bit concerned about this person styling themselves as a warrior of light, given that title still has the tainted association with the flood of light. She knows at this point the truth of Ardbert and the others and what they did, but is concerned about how others might take this. She also takes some time to talk to us alone about the Exarch. Is a little bit concerned about research what her place is in this, if she's actually still someone who can be an effective support for him, and so we take some time to reassure her of that.
Yeah, I mean, when stuff like this happens, you need to make sure that you have a support network.
Yep. Side note, this sequence includes the second time to which there's been a reference made to the Crystal Exarch being so tired that he attempted to open his mail with a fish.
Did that happen to somebody in the development team, I wonder?
I don't know.
I really hope somebody had like grabbed a piece of sushi and was like trying to open an envelope with it in like a state of stupor.
I think the usual thing is like, hey, you have long, thin silver fish. It looks kind of like a blade. You just grab it, and why isn't this opening?
Oh, because...
Why does my mail smell like fish now?
I did once catch a Woot's knife fish I wanted to pour a couple hundred souls into and see if I could get it up to like Zodiac status, but apparently that's a crime against nature.
Yeah, we can do that with anima weapons.
But that's not a fish. I can't put my anima weapon in the aquarium. The homeowners association will complain.
No, they won't, because they don't exist. Anyways.
So we do return to the Crystarium, where now the thoughts of the people are turning a bit more towards the future. The 8th Umbral Calamity has been averted, Vothri's reign is over, and so the people of Norvrand are trying to think about what they want their new future to be, and some of them are starting to become curious about the flood of light that consumed their world and the role that the Warriors of Light played in it, wanting to try to understand the past to get more of an idea of where their world is going to be going. Alphino decides that the Scions should play a role in telling the people about the truth of these matters, and so we go gather people to come to the Etc., the large area in front of the Crystal Tower, where we're going to be talking to them.
And the truth will set you free!
Something like that.
God, we hope.
At the gathering, we tell we get a speech to the people, telling them about the truth of the Warriors of Light, of the Flood of Light, all the details that we had been kept secret. And while we're doing this, we see the familiar face of Ardbert standing in the crowd. He very quickly captures the attention of the people, declaring that the will of the star itself has brought him back from the beyond, and his purpose is to guide the people of Norvrand to become warriors of light. Down, checking up here. And so this, of course, causes a bit of a commotion. The Scions are all completely off guard, wondering what's going on here. Why is this person appeared?
Somebody who's supposed to have been dead for 100 years.
Yep. And given that what we specifically know about Ardbert's role in the defeat of Emet Selk, that he rejoined our still there. This clearly has to be an imposter, which, so far as we know, Elidibus is the only person left who can do that. So this seems to be Elidibus who is taking on the role of Ardbear to encourage the people to become warriors of light, but for what end we don't know yet.
I mean, it's not like we can just tell them, hey, this guy's just a being called an Asian, and it's not really who he's saying he is. I mean, they're not going to believe that.
He's a phony. He's a big
fat phony.
It's not gonna work.
And even if they did believe us, I feel like that just throws things into even more chaos.
Yeah, I mean,
like that's something where we
Hands
don't.
down.
We aren't even clear on what Elidibus is doing here. It would be very easy to accidentally stumble into something that ends up furthering his plan. So without further knowledge, we aren't good. We decide to kind of step back for a moment to see if we can figure out what's going on.
plus it'll make for a very short patch.
That too.
Yeah.
I think more of
not
it
gonna
has to do
lie,
with that last bit than all the other stuff, but
Let's see. While we're discussing what to do about this, Y'shtola invites us to join her in the Raktika Greatwood. The V at the Fanau have discovered chambers in the Katana Revel that might offer some new insights into the Asians, into the ancient civilizations, understanding a bit more of their motives. Recall that the Katana Revel was where we saw those murals that told us the original story about the fight between Hydaelyn and Zodiac and the splitting of the world.
now aside from being an actual, just a plot point, to further the story along, was there any lore reason why we discovered that these things were actually on the first where they're at?
Was a lot of these things were ancient cave paintings, people who had lived through this thing, who had lived through these events, who are making a record of it, who are making art, who are doing all the stuff that people usually do. Imagine people after the end drawing out their stories to try to pass on to the next generations of, this is the history of our tribe, where we came from, why we're living like this. We once lived in these magnificent cities of yada, yada, yada.
So
This
did they
type of
have
thing
some memory of the original star?
Unclear. Like the generations immediately after probably did. I kind of wonder what the experience was like for these people who suddenly found themselves reduced. Like the original Amaroteans and the original ancients who, at the moment when the world was split, suddenly found themselves as these kind of lesser creatures. I really wonder what that experience was like.
Yeah, I mean, because the only ones that didn't experience that were the convocation, correct?
Most of the convocation did. There's only 3 of them who weren't split.
Well, what about because there's been La Habrea, Emmett Selk,
And Elidibus.
Elidibus. What about Igeorum? What about
So those, all of those other ones were split into several shards. Now, what those 3 that were never split, the ones who retain all the powers, they can elevate one of those fragmented ones up to the level.
So
up to where they were.
Did they kind of somewhat rejoin them?
It doesn't quite seem to be a rejoining. They just said that they were able to kind of like elevate them.
Okay.
That they can actually do this to anyone, but they tend to prefer people who were part of the original stable of Zodiac servants because they make the truest servants for them. Like they're the ones who are very on board with the plan.
Mm. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to ask the
No
question. So
worries. Always good to clarify these. So we have a sequence going into the Katana Revel. Lots of fun with various ancient booby traps. Card mini.
I have to ask, what was your thought on this whole mini game bit that we had there?
I wasn't quite sure what they were going for with that. It was kind of fun to have the little trust sequence. I know that they seem to be having a lot more of that in the main scenario. Hey, here's a sequence where you're going to fight with these other people. Like having something where we mostly go around with these people for plot stuff, but then whenever it comes time to fight, it's, oh, hey, we've grabbed 7 random people who are out in the east on a fishing trip or stuff like that. This is something that lets us develop a little more of a connection with those NPCs. So I it feels like they're moving a little more towards trying to do that for plot-driven stuff, and then for like bonus extra content or things like that is where you have a bit of the tougher team up with other players thing.
Okay. Now that brings up another question, but I'll pose that later on.
All right.
Don't let me forget about it though.
Sure thing. So we do have various traps to deal with, ancient guardian monsters to fight. At the end of that, we discover the tomb of the Archmage Tiuna, a legendary hero of Ronka, said to be a master spellcaster to possess an ability to understand and communicate that, in its description, sounds extremely similar to the Echo. This coincidence seems to become something much more when examining her the chamber of her tomb. We see a mural showing this archmage witnessing a star shower. Yeah, this is an image that we ourselves beginning of our adventures that especially those who began in 1.0, the star shower being this really fundamental thing that seemed to the people who were had the Echo awakened in them.
How many have you had tonight? Not enough.
Clearly.
Not enough. But so this seems to be another point into the idea that star showers are somehow related to the Echo.
Because it's a vision of the
Well, we're not there yet.
Well,
at this point, we know that it's something that we witnessed, that we continue with, that we even saw in those last days of Amaroth, that this seems to have some connection going on there.
Yeah, that's all I was going to say is we think that the star shower has to do with the final days and right around the time of the Sundering.
Yep.
Some of the last memories of the original Emerosians.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I was going to say. I wasn't going to go any other where with it.
That's fair. We return to Slitherbough, where Stola prepares to pack up her stuff, prepare her room for the next person, and otherwise prepare to depart the village. While we're in the Great Wood, we do come across Ardbear, or Elidabear to him, who seems to be journeying all over the land, spreading the good news of the Warriors of Light and encouraging people to follow in their footsteps to become Warriors of Light in their own right. We trade barbs back and forth, but he is very tight-lipped about why he is doing what he's doing, making it very clear that he has no intention of helping us with anything that would allow us to defeat his plans, that he a type like M itself was. Let's see. And so, once again, trying to dig a bit more into the history of the Ascians, the history of Amaroth, Urianger comes up upon the idea of using Bismarck to explore a bit deeper in the Tempest. The Ondo, a much deeper structure, far below the ones we had previously been able to reach. We make our way to the Isle of Ken to meet up with Bismarck. Urianger having a momentary pratfall as he attempts to demonstrate his water walking spell, which he loses concentration on at a key moment and so falls into the lake. Which, although it's funny for a moment, see Thancred have the momentary dizzy spell, seems to be highlighting that the connection between the Scions' spirits and their bodies is continuing to weaken, and that time is starting to run out for us.
Yeah, it's kind of a whole scene where he's it's like he's losing his mind, so to speak.
Yeah, he's like doing this entire slightly showy thing, talking about how he will helping this magic that will allow him to walk on the water as if it was glass. Takes a few halting steps, then begins to stride, but then in the midst of it has a momentary pause, seems to be like reaching for his head, and in that moment he loses concentration on his spell and falls right into the water.
Sploosh. Just like Naruto.
See, when you say like Archer, and very different meaning.
Agreed.
Yeah. Which, I mean, there's a lot of memes about Urianger being like a secret, like flirty, whatever type thing. So I could still work with this, but not what you were going for, I think.
No.
Anyways, Bismarck, after we do a couple small quick favors for him, Bismarck clears the path for us down to beneath the depths of the Tempest we had visited before, and to Anamnesis Anider, which seems to largely be a storehouse where concepts and other things were kept that would then be brought to Academia Anider as needed. Now, this is not part of the Amarot that Emmett Selk had recreated, and so it bears a lot more of the hallmarks of a building that has spent millennia under the water, crusted in sea life, all sorts of different little pathways and things through it, though the inside is it's in still remarkably good shape. We do make our way in, fighting through resistance, including an Ondo... The Benthis, I think they are. I know it's from the root word for benthic. But fighting off an Ondo forces that appear to be preparing for an attack on the friendly Ondo. So a little bit of killing two birds with one stone there.
They're the bad Sahagin, basically.
Yeah. And we took out their queen, so that may be the last we see of them.
For a nice nice steak dinner.
Sure. A little bit of surf and turf there.
I don't know. There's too many places for that to go. I'm just gonna have to let that one go.
Yeah, just let it go.
Yeah, probably the best.
Yeah. And exploring within the depths of Anamnesis Anider, we activate, or a device activates of its own accord, conjuring the image of several ancient beings, showing them in conversation about the summoning of Hydaelyn. Now, these are the... from the conversation, we're quickly able to determine that these are the people who objected to the summoning of Zodiark. They describe it as something that is only a temporary fix that isn't going to handle the true problem, and so are discussing the summoning of their own creation, Hydaelyn, in order to act as a counter to it. We get a lot of unexpected details from this. The head of this was an ancient named Vena, which Final Fantasy XII players may recognize as the member of the Okuri opposed his brethren's plans and designs for the world. Very instrumental in the history and the reigns of history in the hands of man mindset. That Vena became the heart of Hydaelyn, sacrificed his life to act as the core for this summoned creature, and find that this became the heart of Zodiark, and that there was a defector from the convocation, who we had seen referred to before, that they had tried to get this defector to join them, but were not successful. So all of this turns a lot of our long-standing beliefs on its head. The Elidibus that we have interacted with cannot be the Elidibus of the original Elidibus of the Convocation, because that one went to become the heart of Zodiark. So it's unclear exactly who this Elidibus was, who they may have been before, what the motivations may be. All of a sudden, we know a lot less about this person than we think we do.
So, question then, is it possible that this particular Elidibus is actually an elevated person? That,
honestly, could be.
You know, maybe Emmett Selk was one of the only, and La Habrea were the only ones that were still remaining, and they elevated these others.
Maybe.
Or it's possible that, you know, once the original Elidibus became the heart, they had installed a new
right. That
person with that title.
That seems like the most likely one, though it also raises a question like, why does this matter? We've never had any dealings except with this Elidibus. Why would the fact that someone else had the title before change anything of what we know or what we're doing? It's possible that it might, they just don't have anything to suggest that it's meaningful, which makes me wonder, why has this been brought up? From a storytelling perspective, it's not clear what this means or why it would be significant. The other one, which was one that had, especially among the player base, there had been the knowledge that there was a member of the Convocation of 14 that defected. The assumption had always been to join up and be involved in the summoning of Hydaelyn. The idea that, oh, we are somehow connected to or some reincarnation or tied to this defector, and that this is why we have this connection to Hydaelyn. And it turns out that that doesn't seem to be the case either. If we are connected to this defector didn't join up with the Hydaelyn group either.
So what did they do?
Yeah. So it's something. This was one where we technically got a lot of new information, but it was stuff that didn't really answer much and upended a lot of stuff we thought we knew.
Now remember, though, this was only half of the story that we're going to be getting, and the other half is, and the conclusion to it is coming in 5.3.
Right.
So everything we learned in this particular patch, I'm sure, is going to have, will determine why it's been told to us.
It's setting pieces on the board.
Mm-hmm. It's getting us thinking about things, and I think that's exactly what they want us to do. Is they want us to think about,
like, we thought the game board had been laid out. It was just a question of how the pieces were going to be. And then our opponent just brought out a second box of pieces and started setting up more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, we're playing Gloomhaven. Okay.
Ooh, sweet. I always wanted to play that.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not.
So the record cuts out at that point. Ishtola is actually remaining behind in order to try to activate it, and she'll follow up with that. She, in fact, I believe, is still down there trying to see if she can get any more information out of the records, so we may hear a bit more from her once the new patch sequence starts up. But while we're waiting for that, Urianger suggests that we all just like... Oh, hang on, misread this bit. So we return to the Crystarium to check in on the Crystal Exarch and his attempts to develop the Soul Vessel, to find him outside of the tower in the Excedra, in that big open area, trying to calm the people of the Crystarium. It seems that a lot of people took heed of and Ardbear's words, Elidabear's words, and want to leave and become warriors of light and become adventurers in their own right. Which one or two on their own is perfectly manageable, but if you have a large portion of the Crystarium's workforce leaving all at once, there is a serious concern about whether they're going to be able to maintain basic operations. You need a minimum amount of people to actually run the city. But you have a lot of people who have had this kind of zeal for adventure and for becoming warriors of light and helping the people that is now actually a serious civic risk. In the midst of this, the sky goes dark and heralding the appearance of a glowing light and a shower of stars, yet another star shower. Elidibus appears at this point, proclaiming that those who have seen the star shower are themselves newly deemed warriors of light, and those the people in the Excedra pause in shock as they start hearing a strange voice in their head, one that they describe as being very similar to the voice of Hydaelyn that we heard once upon a time, telling us hear, feel, and think. So we seem to have had a mass awakening of the echo in these people, which again, Elidabear has told them is proof positive that they have been selected to be warriors of light by the star. We've catch up with Elidabear himself, who, again, while he's not giving us any information as to his reasoning behind his actions, does confirm that the star shower was an illusion that he had created. we talk a bit with some of the people who are heading off to become Warriors of Light themselves, including a couple of the Crystarium guardsmen that we have been talking with before, now suited up for Crystarium uniforms. Without any other option, we give them some advice and pretty much like that. I had a sentence and then I lost it. And send them on their way with some advice and some encouragement. Let's see. We do discuss the idea that based on the sequences of events we saw, and based on Elidibert verifying that the star shower awoke the echo as a replica of the events that the final days of Amuro, it's something that activates a racial memory deep within us. This event burned into our ether, having it reproduced before us, reawakens some of these abilities and some of these aspects of the ancients. He describes it as a pale imitation, but still powers far beyond what ordinary people have.
So he's basically using their creation magic to be able to do this?
Seems like. The idea is that kind of by showing people this image that activates this deeply buried racial memory, it triggers something inside them that accesses this dormant power and brings forth this power of the ancients.
So he's created mutants.
More like he awoke a latent mutant power that was always there, but just kind of like buried and dormant.
So these are the new mutants. Got it.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Oh, these are the new class. Okay, good.
Yes.
It's not the first class.
This does... I know there had been a long-standing thing about the belief that the Echo was a gift of Hydaelyn, and this is explained to recontextualize that the Echo is this ability, just that Hydaelyn is continually calling forth to pretty much like broadcasting on all frequencies. So typically when someone has the Echo awakened in them, they start being able to hear the voice of Hydaelyn, and from that it came this association that the Echo must come from Hydaelyn, when actually it's the other way around. The Echo is what lets you hear Hydaelyn.
So here's a question. Who awoken it in us?
Yeah, like there is a thing where we ended up witnessing a star shower for whatever reason, depending on where in the whether you started 1.0 and 2.0 stuff. At some point you witnessed it. And yeah, there's that question of how exactly that happened.
Was
Also,
it one of the Asians that did this to start some shit, or was
there's
it
some other piece on the board? This also got some good discussion going among the lore mongers that made people wonder, back in the fifth astral era, when Shitoto was doing stuff like the spell, did she go and awaken a whole bunch of echoes? I mean, if any kind of vision of a star
No, I don't want that. It's possible, but I don't want it.
Yeah, there's all sorts of, okay, when did someone accidentally create a whole bunch of echoes?
Everything about that scares me.
Yeah. And so that pretty much brings us to our close at the Crystal Tower, where we check in again with the Exarch about what we found at Anonesis. Thancred proposes that he'll use his skill in spycraft and subterfuge to try to keep an eye on Elidibert. Urianger will keep assisting the research at the Umbilicus for the transfer using the Aurosite. And they suggest that the Exarch suggests that we take this moment to rest, which he recognizes has some amount of irony coming from him, but given that everyone else has things to work on, counsels us to marshal our strength and be ready for whatever comes next. We do close with a final scene at our suite at the Pendants, where one of the hunters who helped us hunting the cardinal virtues comes to discuss what they'd seen. These hunters, of course, knowing a bit more of the story of Ardbert than others, to share sympathy, to discuss the sullying of the Warriors of Light good name and that this cannot be stood for, and to offer us some support in this dark time.
I thought it was cool that we could, depending on how many of those we actually completed, we could see one or all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I did a few because I was like, wait, this looks cool. I want to see if I can get another one. And then I proceeded to do enough of them that I don't think I saw them all, but I saw a bunch.
Yeah. So there are, of course, the 4 role quests, plus there's one more that's kind of a tying all the stories together.
Yeah, once you've finished all of them.
Once you've finished all 4 role quest lines. And you have to have finished at least 9 in order to finish Shadowbring.
Correct. So there's always going to be one.
Right. But if there's multiple ones that you've finished, then you're offered a list of who it is that's come to see you, and you'll have a little discussion based a little on the specifics of the quest you had with them. And the one for the combined one is really good.
Giot's the best.
Giot's also pretty great.
I should watch the combined one though, but I watched. I don't remember which one I picked. I think I picked the top one because I thought that's. I wasn't realizing what was going on. I'd already done all of them. I just saw a list of people. I couldn't. Not all the names were making sense. But then they showed the person in, when they showed the cutscene, or in the
right.
the trailer.
Right.
So I picked that person.
I picked the tank one just because I was like, okay, this is the one I started with, and I'm kind of on a tank job type.
And that was also the one that they showed in the cutscene or in the
right.
trailer.
Because the quasi-canon thing for the trailer stuff is that you're a Dark Knight through these things.
True. I guess that does make sense, but.
Oh, it's true because we are kind of like supposed to be a Dark Knight through all this.
I mean, just like supposedly in Stormblood, we were a monk.
Fair. I don't think well, no, I did play Monk in Stormblood. Not a lot, though.
In terms of, like, the little opening movie and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Shadowbringers opening movie, it's like, you're everything. It's like, okay.
One brings shadow, one brings light.
Yeah. And Klauss did link an article where someone was commenting and talking a little about some of the meta aspects of it, which was really fun.
It was a hilarious. It's from February when this all came out, but it is absolutely hilarious. It's from twinfinite.com, twinfinite.net, excuse me, talking about how the this patch got hilariously meta.
Yeah.
Basically,
you should link it. It's worth reading in full.
I already did.
But yeah,
check
it's discussing the idea that playing an MMO is always a little bit weird when it's like, hey, you're the Warrior of Light, you're the chosen one. There's all these other people running around saying like, oh yes, I'm the Warrior of Light, I'm the chosen one. Hey, come help me fight this primal.
And
that's always something that can be a little bit jarring, can take you out of it a little bit. And then now that's become something that's become an actual plot point. There's all these NPCs who it's like, I'm the chosen one.
You have the echo. You have the echo. You have the echo.
Everybody has the echo.
You get a pot, and you get a pot, and you get a pot.
Stop it. God.
That was a funny quest, though.
It was. Yeah. It was a super funny quest.
It was. But so the article is exploring a little bit like just how chaotic and disjointed the world becomes if you have a fuck ton of people going around saying that they're the chosen one. Side note, this is why I think in most role-playing communities and groups, unless there's like an explicit thing for it, all characters are specifically not the Warrior of Light, just because otherwise things get way too messy.
In certain ones, yes, they play an adventurer, not. They're not actually the Warrior of Light at that point. Yeah,
it's much more common to see that for a lot of role-playing groups, just because declaring themselves the Warrior of Light, and there are these things that were done by the Warrior of Light and all that, it becomes very tangled and complicated. It's just easier all around if you skip it.
So wow, we got through that in just over half an hour.
I summarize good, bitches.
Yeah.
Do.
It was a good story. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to what we get in 5.3 now.
It was definitely a bit more of the, as I said, the setting the pieces on the game There wasn't as much of like the huge, massive, dramatic sequences. It was a lot more, wait, that's funny. Wait, that's strange. What does this mean? But you need a bit of that for the dramatic pieces to really land.
Mm-hmm. All right. So since we're going longer than we have in the past couple episodes, let's go ahead and just wrap this one up. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, please make sure to like, subscribe, or follow us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I believe we are out on Spotify, Stitcher, or whatever your preferred podcatcher is. We're probably on there. We're trying to get there. And if there's one that you listen to and we're not there, let us know what it is so we can maybe try and get out on it. And when you do listen to us, leave us a rating or review if possible, because it lets other people know about our show, lets us know how we're doing, and it actually helps us to be seen in the podcasting community. And if you really dig this show, you can consider subscribing here at twitch.tv/PhoenixDownRadio, where you get access to a number of emotes and subscriber badges. Or you can support us out on Patreon at patreon.com/PhoenixDownRadio, like our amazing friend Aurori Fenrir. All the proceeds we get go towards growing the show, covers some of the hosting costs, and allows us to do some of the giveaways like the Phoenix Down Pick Me Up contest that we're doing right now. It covers a lot of that type of stuff. And we're also going to be doing a contest once we hit 1,000 followers. I know we're in the mid 800s right now, so it's not that far off.
Dang.
Yeah.
But whatever type of support you want to give us, whether it's emails, likes, tweets, retweets, donations, follows, or subs, it's always greatly appreciated because we just love interacting with you guys and the rest of the community. Like I said, if you want to check out our backlog of all our podcasts as well as some interesting articles, you can go to our website, https, nice and secure now, www.phoenixstarradio.com. You can send us an email, podcast@phoenixstarradio.com, or you can hit us up on Facebook at facebook.com/PhoenixDownRadio. So, shout outs, anybody?
Shout outs to my FC Unity over here on Hyperion. You're all amazing people. We've all kind of reached a point where we're starting to divide and separate, and a few of us might be leaving the FC. So who knows? I might be a Phoenix Down member eventually someday soon. But shout outs to everybody. It's been an awesome couple of years. Thank you guys for everything that you have done. Shout outs to Bannon for being an awesome crafter both in and out of game. He has made me some awesome HQ gear. He also helped me replace my spark plugs the other day.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Dang.
Yeah.
And
he's been super cool.
And how can people find you if they want to see what the formerly most interesting potato in Eorzea is up to?
Please find me on Twitter at Taliz Marvelous. That's Taliz Marvelous. Spoiler alert. I don't like Aerith. And just so when you go there, you're not hit with a surprise.
Those of you watching on live or the YouTube version, that's why I have the Aerith minion out.
Yep. Specifically for that. She's hiding behind the couch, and I have my camera turned so that I can't see her.
Well, but not for everybody seeing. She's giving you a flower now.
Oh no. No. Anyway. But yeah, it's been fun. Join me on Twitter. I post a lot of pictures of cars. Like a lot.
All right, thank you.
Like a lot.
Seyrr?
All right. Shout outs to my social link shelf friends Allard Barros, Magnus Aurelion, and Limecat Indignatio for late night chatting, helping keep me sane when I was making Dragon Sung tools and trying to ignore the rest of the world. It's always you guys, you're great. Shout out to my dad for very generously gifting me Final Fantasy VII Remake to help take my mind off of things for the upcoming weeks. Really looking forward to cracking that one open and to sharing some of those sequences. Oh god, I hope the wall market sequence is great because I know he's going to want to see that.
Dude, you are really going to enjoy it.
Excellent.
Also,
It's
your
so
dad
good.
says woo in chat.
Yay! Ah, Miss Cloud. I think we were trying to come up with a drag name for it at some point. Anyways, I'm sidetracking.
Yeah.
As you
Just
do.
a bit.
And
Okay, buddy.
you can probably the easiest way to find me is on Twitter at FF14 Seyrr. That's FFXIV SEYRR, where I mostly post. I'm not posting as many pictures of interesting things I find at the library, given that the library is closed for a while. Stuff that I cook. Oh, I should post pictures of the French style scrambled eggs I did. I got chives, and then I found that you can just eat chives straight up, and they're kind of great.
Mm-hmm. They are good.
Also,
Sarah,
I have-
adore you.
Also, I have enough stuff to improvise my own cocktail sauce, which is great.
Ooh.
That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. Also, I may have taken a shot of Worcestershire sauce straight up.
Don't.
You just wanted the umami, didn't you? I don't think we heard
I
what
can
you said.
hear you judging me, Taliz.
I'm not doing anything. I know I think loudly.
I think that's about everything.
Nicomancer in chat saying family tradition.
Yeah, that kind of is.
Wow.
See, it's his fault. Blame him for it.
And I want to throw shout outs to everybody watching us here live at twitch.tv/PhoenixDown Radio. Necromancer, thank you for gifting Seyrr a copy of Final Fantasy VII. I know he's going to enjoy it. It's been knowing Seyrr the way I do, he really likes that stuff, so he's going to love it. Can't wait to hear his reactions to it. Shout outs to these two knuckleheads, Taliz and Seyrr, so much for all of the help that they're really helpful to me in this time. You know, having somebody to talk with about something fun really makes it a lot easier to deal with the things that we're going through right now. So thank you to you two for kind of being there when I need to just talk about something.
It's totally a mutual support thing.
Agreed.
Huge shout outs to Jimmy's Pizza here in Hutch. They are amazing people. If you're ever in the area, definitely check them out. Like I said, dine-in's closed, but takeout and delivery are available. And if you let me know ahead of time, I can get you some pizza. So, But no, they're really awesome people. Really thankful for their supports during this. Yeah, it'd be a lot tougher, I think, to have to deal with all that if I didn't have something to put my mind to. So, and again, thank you to everybody listening out on the podcast as well. You guys are the reason why we do this. So for my co-host, you can find me at PHXDN_KLAUSS out on Twitter, PHXDN_Klauss. I haven't been posting a ton because I've been really busy with the whole delivery stuff, and it's really hard for me right now to I think to really justify putting a lot of stuff out on social media. I need to get better at that, but
I think a lot of people are taking a little time to kind of like turn inward a little bit, look at what's going on like in their own lives and in the world around them. That's not a bad thing to take stock and think about what we want the world to be like.
And I mean, I really am not sure that me externalizing what's going on in my life is going to be very beneficial to people. So that's maybe part of the reason why I'm holding off on it. I'm not sure that my situation is all that great or bad or interesting in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But with, if you guys ever want to talk, like I said, you can reach out to me there. You can email. You can hit me up on Discord. If you need that, we're here for you. So, anyway, with all that said, for my co-hosts Seyrr Timono and for Taliz Marvelous, I am Klauss Nightbringer, wishing everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.
Phoenix Down Radio is a production of PhoenixDownRadio.com and Illusion Productions. Final Fantasy XIV and Eorzea are trademarks of Square Enix. In-game content for Phoenix Down Radio is the copyright of Square Enix. Opening music for Phoenix Down Radio is provided by Guilty Gear Rock You. Check out the Metal Chocobo theme cover and many other music videos at youtube.com/Guilty Gear Rock You. Closing music for this episode is provided by Guitar Wanker 90. Please check out their full version of Matoya's Cave and other rock video game covers at youtube.com/Guitar Wanker 90. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of Phoenix Down Radio and its hosts and do not reflect the views of Square Enix.